Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 2 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we continue to follow the shooting that happened on in the 10th Street Burger King parking lot. This was the scene earlier today. You can see a large police presence. Now again, WITN reporter Amarache Uche is still at the scene where the parking lot of the Burger King on East 10th Street has been closed off by police. Now, a police spokeswoman says that 2 people were arguing in the restaurant's parking lot and 1 person shot the other. The person injured has been taken to the hospital, while again, police are still searching for the shooter. Now, Amarachi was able to catch up with Greenville Police Chief Richard Tyndall and has more from him in this interview.
Yeah, we responded here a little bit before 1 o'clock to a gunshot wound here at the Burger King. When we arrived here, we found out that the information is that it was a personal dispute between 2 people. At this point, we have very limited information. As you can tell, we're still very early in our investigation. Our detectives are still on scene, and officers are still here working to get all the details of the incident.
Yeah, are you able to tell us, was it between 2 men, 2 females, a man, a woman? Would you able to tell us
right now, the information was between 2 men.
2 men, and then one, just to make sure one shot the other one, right?
That is my understanding.
Okay.
What did it look like when you guys arrived on scene? Was it a person on the ground? Was in the parking lot? That kind of thing.
Sure. I don't know exactly what it looked like on scene. What I can tell you is that Greenville Fire EMS transported the gentleman to the ECU Health, and he's being treated there. Outside of that, I don't have that information.
And so do you know how many rounds were fired? I saw a car right there had a gunshot. I know another car over there. Do you know about how many rounds were fired?
I do not have that information right now. As you can tell, our crime scene detectives are still out here, and that's part of the information that they'll be gathering during the course of the investigation.
Is it fatal, or is it non-life threatening, or what are we looking at right now?
I don't have a condition. I do know at this point he was still alive.
And so I know the Greenville Police Department just came off of a shooting that happened yesterday. You guys are at another shooting that happened. Just talk about the gun violence that's happening here in Greenville.
Yeah, activity like this is completely unacceptable. Especially happening in a public parking lot where other people are around. Yesterday was evidence of how seriously we take it. Our detectives were out till the middle of the night, and we were able to subsequently make 2 arrests in that case. Just like that one, they'll be out today. We'll do everything in our power to make sure whoever's responsible for this is taken into custody, and that we can close this case as quickly as possible, because gun violence like this is completely unacceptable in our community.
I know when Brandon here, he was coming in, he did see you guys arresting someone over there, but then they were let go. Are you guys just trying to find who was involved in this shooting?
Yeah, right now we have officers all over the area making sure that we are doing our best to locate anybody that was, part of this incident.
Do you have a message?
And again, that was Police Chief Richard Tyndall from Greenville, again, going over some of the details that they have gathered so far from that current ongoing investigation. Now we want to turn our attention again to your weather forecast. Right now we're looking at some sunshine out there, but air temperatures should gather more of the attention today, because we're finally not dealing with air temperatures, at least widespread air temperatures in the 90s. That is very encouraging. Let's take a look again at what we are tracking right now. Weather-wise, just some cloud cover. We do have rain showers a little bit closer to Cape Fear, but for now, eastern North Carolina right now remains fairly dry. 86 degrees, comes with a northeasterly breeze at about 20 miles an hour. It does look like, again, that is pushing your feels-like temperature up to around 94 degrees. Here's a look at those rain showers around the Wilmington area. They are moving southward, so those of you watching through Pender and Onslow and Duplin counties, you guys note that, again, showers are moving away from your location. Now, we do have more development potentially over the next few hours, but I'm not anticipating the widespread rain that, again, could come whenever we do get hot and humid. Here's our current air temperatures right now, reading in the upper 80s throughout most of eastern North Carolina. Some of us still in the mid to low 80s, though. A little bit jealous. Wish I was on the Outer Banks right now. Manio coming in 82 degrees, but that's just your air temperature. Here's what it truly feels like outside. And 85 degrees in Manio. Not too bad, considering yesterday all of eastern North Carolina was reporting a feels-like temperature of over 100 degrees. Now, of course, the big reason why we've seen that drop in your feels like temperature through most of eastern North Carolina. I know those of you watching in Jacksonville are probably screaming and shouting, saying it still feels like 100. That's because we've got an 80-degree dew point in Jacksonville and highs near the upper 80s. I think it was 89 degrees right now in Jacksonville. But elsewhere, again, lower humidity. Dew points in the 60s to Goldsboro, Greenville, Washington, Swan Quarter, Elizabeth City, Ahoskie, Manteo, and Rocky Mount. That is progress. That is progress that you can feel when you step outside. Over the past 24 hours, we've seen a large majority of eastern North Carolinians, predominantly around the Albemarle Sound, but even for inland areas close to Rocky Mount, Kinston, Greenville, seeing a 5-degree humidity drop, dew point drop or more. That is certainly something you can feel, and it's only going to be more present tomorrow as these northeasterly winds continue to push that cooler and, more importantly, drier air over the region. So through the rest of the afternoon, again, highs kind of topping out right now at their max. Then later on tonight, this is the important part, air temperatures dipping into the 70s by the time we get to 9 o'clock tonight. Normally, that transition from the 80s to the 70s usually occurs around midnight to 1 a.m. The fact that we're going to be in the mid to low 70s by midnight is encouraging. The colder our overnight lows get, the more comfortable the air will feel tomorrow. It's like a nice setup. Earlier this morning, we had lows in the 70s, and that kept the morning hours very humid. You probably walked out the door and said, nah, it still feels kind of gross and sticky out here, Charlie. I don't know what you're talking about. But here is again that push of air. Notice the rain showers across South Carolina and Georgia. Watch their direction, continuing to push down towards the southwest. That encourages more of a northeasterly flow across eastern North Carolina, bringing in some of that cooler and drier air. Now, of course, it could also bring in some isolated rain showers for those of you watching along the coast, or at least watching east of Highway 17. But for now, those rain chances still look fairly low, minimal, just a few isolated showers and storms passing by. We will be warming back up though. Saturday and Sunday, first alert weather days, the heat will return and the humidity will return. So moral of this story, take advantage of today and tomorrow's low temperatures and, well, relatively low temperatures. I'm not going to give the weather too much credit. 88 is still pretty warm out there. But again, feeling more comfortable by the time we get into your Wednesday. Thursday, we get back into the 90s. Humidity returns in full by Friday. And then that sets us up for what will be a very hot and toasty weekend. Again, first alert weather days because of the heat and humidity combination that we'll feel over this coming weekend. Well, that's all we have time for today's 2 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday.